The notification flashed on my phone screen at exactly 9:47 p.m., slicing through the quiet focus of my cramped studio. I was deep in the code, the blue glow my only light. It was an Instagram story from my sister, Denise. The rooftop of the Reedern Hotel glittered behind her. Her caption was a punch to the gut: family success without the failure. She wrote, "Party Pap is officially a senior marketing director at 28. Mom, Dad, and my wonderful husband celebrating right. Hashtag success. Hashtag family. Hashtag no dead weight." In the background, our parents clinked champagne flutes with Denise's husband, Derek. The scene was perfect: designer gown, sharp suit, a skyline of dazzling lights. They all looked complete, triumphant. I was the glaring omission, but that was nothing new. For 3 years, since I walked away from Harvard Law to do what my family dismissively called playing with computers, I'd been edited out of the picture. Not with drama, but with quiet erasure. Invitations that slipped their minds, reservations made for just the core group, family chats I never got added to. Failure was Denise's chosen nickname for me, and it had stuck with everyone else. I scrolled through the comments. A waterfall of heart emojis and congratulations. And to be fair, Denise had earned this. She'd clawed her way up at Morrison and RSI, a premier marketing firm. Her promotion was a real achievement. My fingers tapped out a brief, polite reply: "Proud of you, Party Pap." I set the phone down, trying to sink back into my work. 20 minutes later, a text from my cousin, Andrea, buzzed through. "Just saw Denise's post." Even for her, that was harsh. "You okay?" Andrea was my lone lifeline in the family, the only one who ever asked about my work with genuine interest instead of polite dismissal. "I'm fine," I typed back. She earned it. Andrea's reply was swift. "But calling you a failure publicly? In front of 2,400 people." I reopened the app. The likes had already climbed higher. Over the last year, Denise's social media ascent had mirrored her corporate one. She was the golden child. I was the cautionary tale, the embodiment of wasted potential, bad decisions, and shaky finances. Another vibration. This time, a direct message from Denise herself. "Saw your comment. Appreciate you being mature about it. The table really was just too tight for one more person. You understand." I stared at the words. Even now, in her victory lap, she had to make sure I felt the cut. "Of course," I replied. "Congratulations again." I put the phone face down and turned back to the lines of code on my laptop. This was my real work, the product of 3 years of 18-hour days, a graveyard of failed prototypes and rejection emails I'd stopped counting. While Denise scaled the corporate ladder, I was building something from nothing, a data analytics platform designed to decode human behavior in ways no existing software could. My studio was a shrine to this obsession. Instant noodle cups stacked by the sink, a second-hand desk, a mattress on the floor. Every spare dollar went to servers, software licenses, and the occasional expert consult when I hit a wall. To my family, this place screamed poverty and defeat. To me, it was the front line. An investment in something they couldn't yet see. At 11:30 p.m., I was in the zone, untangling a vicious bug in my algorithm, when my phone erupted. A frantic chorus of vibrations, Instagram alerts, text pings, missed call notifications. I swatted them away. My world narrowed to the lines of code that were finally, beautifully, falling into place. Then Andrea called. I answered with a grunt, my eyes still on the screen. She breathed out, a sound of pure, stunned vindication. "Check your phone. Check Instagram. Check everything." "I'm working," I muttered, fingers still flying. "Can it wait?" No, it absolutely cannot wait. Denise's victory party just got a plot twist. That got my attention. I minimized my work and opened Instagram. Denise's story had updated. The glossy celebration was gone, replaced by shaky, confused posts. The latest was a video. Denise was staring, frozen, at her own phone, her professional makeup stark against her suddenly pale skin. Derek peered over her shoulder, his expression identical, a blend of shock and disbelief. In the muffled background, I could hear our parents' voices, anxious and questioning. What's happening? Andrea, I said slowly. What am I looking at? Forbes dropped their 30 under 30 list an hour ago, she said, her voice tight with suppressed excitement. Technology category. Go look. Right now. A cold thread of anticipation shot through me. I opened a new browser tab. The Forbes site loaded, and the headline dominated the screen. Forbes 30 under 30 technology. Young innovators changing industries. I scrolled, my pulse a dull thud in my ears. Profiles of prodigies and disruptors flashed by. And then I stopped. Third from the top. Maya Chin, 26. Founder and CEO, Nexus Analytics. My own professional headshot, the one I'd taken half a year ago when I stopped getting patronizing smiles from venture capitalists, looked back at me. Below it was a bio I wasn't prepared to read. Maya Chin dropped out of Harvard Law School to pursue what many dismissed as a fool's errand, building an AI to predict consumer behavior with uncanny accuracy. 3 years later, her company, Nexus Analytics, has quietly become indispensable to Fortune 500 giants, revolutionizing client understanding. With a post-Series C valuation of $847 million, Chin represents a new wave of entrepreneurs prioritizing innovation over tradition. Major clients include Amazon, Netflix, and Goldman Sachs. Despite the impact, Chin maintains a reclusive profile. I'm not building for recognition, she told Forbes. I'm building because this technology can fundamentally change how businesses connect with people. I read it 3 times. The confidential Series C round closed just last week, $180 million at an $847 million valuation, was there in black and white. My 62% stake. The near billion-dollar valuation. It was all public. My phone rang again. Andrea. Did you see it? She asked. I saw. $847 million. Apparently. And Denise just called you a failure in front of 2,400 people. I was numb, staring at the screen. Andrea, I have to call you back. I hung up and immediately dialed my lawyer, Juan Ristra. He picked up on the first ring. Maya, he said, no greeting needed. I was waiting. Congratulations on Forbes. But level with me, did you know the feature was today? Not a clue, Juan. How did they get the Series C details? That was under wraps. On paper, yes, he conceded. But Forbes has its ways. And honestly, Maya, the lid was coming off soon anyway. You're on track to be one of the youngest self-made female billionaires in tech. This was inevitable. The word billionaire was a physical shock. Juan, I said, my voice steady but strange to my own ears. What's my net worth? Right now. With your 62% at the current valuation, approximately $524 million. If we hit our projected growth, you'll cross the billion-dollar mark within 18 months. I sank onto my thrift store couch, the worn fabric groaning under me. $500 million. The number echoed in the silent, dingy studio. Congratulations, Juan said, and his warmth was genuine. You built something extraordinary. It's already transforming operations for dozens of major corporations. This recognition? You've earned every bit of it. After Juan's call, I sat in the silent epicenter of the chaos, my studio a museum of 3 years of grind. My phone a live wire in my hand, convulsed with notifications, a blizzard of alerts heralding an arrival I hadn't prepared for. My Instagram was a war zone. The Forbes article was wildfire, and the internet, with brutal efficiency, was stitching it together with Denise's no dead weight post. Side-by-side screenshots were already everywhere, spawning a public drama I never signed up for. At 12:47 a.m., her name flashed on the screen. Denise. I answered. Maya. Her voice was a thin, shaky wire. I need to talk to you. It's pretty late. Denise. Please. I'm still at the hotel. Can you come down? Just for a few minutes. My gaze swept the room. The dried noodle cup in the sink, the mattress on the bare floor, the battered laptop that was the engine of it all. Then it landed on the Forbes headline, still glowing on my screen. The two realities side by side. I'll be there in 20 minutes. The rooftop of the Return was a ghost of the party just passed. Abandoned tables, half-empty bottles, strings of lights twinkling pointlessly over empty chairs. Denise sat alone, a solitary figure swallowed by the night sky. Her beautiful dress looked deflated, her celebratory makeup ruined by tear tracks. The scene was eerie, a stage after the play has ended badly. "Maya," she said as I reached the table. The word was heavy with surrender. "I'm so sorry." I sat down. For what? For everything. For the post. For the last 3 years. For calling you now. Her voice hitched, the sentence crumbling. "Failure," I supplied quietly, the word no longer a blade but a fact. She nodded, her eyes pooling again. "I had no idea. None of us knew what you were really doing. I tried to tell you," I said, my voice even. 2 Christmases ago. I explained the platform. Dad said I was playing with expensive toys. Mom said there was still time to go back to law school. Denise flinched, the memory clearly striking a chord. "We thought we were helping. Steering you back on track." "I know. The Forbes article. It says almost $1 billion. Is that real?" "Yes. The investors valued it at $847 million last week. I own 62% of it." She stared at me, her expression rearranging itself as the math computed. "So you're worth over $500 million. On paper." She attempted a laugh, but it shattered into a wet sob. "On paper. I just got promoted to senior director. I make $180,000 a year, and I felt like I'd made it. I posted about family success without the failure, and you were sitting in your apartment, worth $500 million. Money isn't the scorecard," I said, the truth of the words feeling newly forged. "Your promotion is a real achievement. You worked for it." "Stop," she whispered, wiping her cheek with a shaky hand. "Stop being kind. I don't deserve it. I have been horrible to you." I looked at my sister. Really looked. Stripped of the designer armor and the party's glow, she seemed smaller, younger than she had in years. Just Denise. Vulnerable. "Denise," I began, my voice softer. "Do you know why I really left law school?" She shook her head, a silent admission. "Because I was only there to fulfill a script. The perfect daughter from a good family becomes the lawyer. It was a path meant to please everyone but me. I was miserable. So I chose a different problem to solve, one that actually kept me up at night with excitement, not dread. The company grew from that. For 3 years, while you all saw a failure, I was building. The money, it's just a byproduct. A side effect of solving the problem well." Denise absorbed this, the silence between us stretching. When she finally spoke, her words were deliberate. "I owe you more than an apology." "You don't owe me." "Yes," she cut in, her voice firmer. "I do. I owe you respect. I owe you the support, the trust one should have given you from the start." She took a shaky breath. "I need to fix the post. Publicly." I pulled out my phone, opening the torrent of notifications. "Denise, that post created a monster. It's not just about us anymore. People have the screenshots. They're making memes. It's a whole spectacle of family drama and schadenfreude. I never wanted this." She took the phone, scrolling through the chaotic aftermath. Her face paled further. "Oh, God, Maya. What can I possibly do?" "Help me steer this," I said. "If you're willing." "Anything," she said, without a second's hesitation. I opened Instagram and started a new post. We wrote it together, a simple reframing of the truth. Tonight was supposed to be solely about celebrating my sister Denise's incredible promotion to senior marketing director at Morrison and RSI. She earned this, and she deserves all the recognition. Life, however, has ironic timing. Forbes published their 30 under 30 list tonight as well. I'm deeply honored to be included for my work at Nexus Analytics. But the real story is this. Denise and I are on different paths, both meaningful. Success isn't a competition, especially between sisters. So proud of you. Next time, we celebrate together. I added a heart emoji. #sisters. #different paths. #real success. Denise read it, then read it again, tears tracing fresh paths down her cheeks. "Maya, you don't have to do this for me. I'm doing it for us. Because it's true." Minutes later, her reply appeared. My sister isn't just the brilliant, successful one. She's the better person, and I don't deserve her. Maya, please forgive me. Your path was never conventional, but it was always authentically yours. I should have been your champion, not your critic. Proud to be your sister. Let's start over. A red heart emoji followed. By 2 a.m., the tide had turned. The online frenzy shifted from mockery to something more nuanced, conversations about different definitions of success, comments praising mutual respect. The spectacle was becoming a story, one we had a hand in writing. As we gathered our things to leave the deserted rooftop, Denise pulled me into a tight, wordless hug. When she let go, she asked, Maya, can I ask you something? Of course. What happens now? With all of it? She gestured vaguely, encompassing the Forbes article, the valuation, the future. I thought of my studio, the noodle cups, the loyal, aging laptop. Then I thought of the Series C capital, the expansion plans, the roadmap that stretched years ahead. I keep building, I said. The spotlight is temporary. The work is what lasts. I want to make technology that helps businesses see their customers as people. And for you? Personally? A small, tired smile touched my lips. I'm going to buy a real bed. And maybe eat something that didn't come in a styrofoam cup. Denise laughed, then a clear, genuine sound I hadn't heard since we were kids. Let me help you apartment hunt, she said. I know your company is worth a fortune, but I also know you'll be looking at efficiency studios to be sensible. You know me too well, I admitted, and for the first time in years, it felt like a good thing. Walking to our cars in the quiet, early morning darkness, Denise's voice was barely a whisper. Maya, I need you to know something. I never really believed you were a failure. Then what was it? I asked, stopping to face her. What were you so afraid of? She looked up at the skyline, gathering her words. I was afraid you were brave. Brave enough to chase something that mattered only to you, while I was just reciting lines from a script. I was terrified your unconventional path might actually work, proving my safe play was just that safe. You scared me because you were living proof that success doesn't have to look the way everyone says it should. I reached out and touched her arm. Denise, you aren't just playing it safe. You're building a real career in a field you're good at. You shape how millions of people see brands. That takes its own kind of guts. She met my gaze, a tear escaping but a smile forming. Different kinds of courage. Exactly. 6 months later, Tuesday dinners were our sacred ritual. Denise had left Morrison and RSI for a smaller, scrappier agency, trading a chunk of her salary for creative control and genuine passion. I moved out of the studio into a 2-bedroom apartment. It was still sensible, no tech bro penthouse, but it had a real bed, a sofa, and a kitchen where I could cook food that required more than boiling water. Nexus Analytics employed 147 people across 4 countries. Our Series D round closed, valuing the company at $2.3 billion. The headlines declared me the youngest female billionaire founder in AI. But the more important number was the thousands of small businesses now using our platform to compete, to understand the person behind the purchase order. The Forbes fame changed everything in the public eye and nothing in my daily rhythm. The work was constant, solving problems, refining the technology, scaling value. Denise, ironically, became my most trusted guide through the strange new world of recognition, helping me navigate the spotlight without losing the script I'd written for myself. Over pasta at our usual spot one Tuesday, I said, that failure label taught me the most important lesson, separating the noise from the need. I didn't build Nexus for applause. I built it because I saw a puzzle that needed solving. The recognition is fine, but it's not the reason. Denise nodded, swirling her wine. I think I'm learning my own version of that. Yeah, I spent years obsessed with appearing successful. The promotion was an achievement, but the performance around it was exhausting. Now, I'm trying to focus on the work itself, the part that actually feels like mine, and worry less about the curtain. I lifted my water glass. Different paths. She clinked her mug against it. Same goals. And sisters who finally remember how to be on the same team. As we paid the bill and headed back to our respective worlds, hers to branding campaigns, mine to neural networks, I felt the weight of how far we'd come since that night on the cold rooftop. The Forbes article was just a spark. The real fire was the understanding that had grown between us. One person's success doesn't have to be another's shadow. My phone buzzed. A notification from the family group chat, once a source of quiet exclusion. Mom had shared a link, Incorporated Magazine's 100 Companies to Watch. Nexus Analytics leads with ethical AI. Her comment was simple, so proud of both our daughters. Changing the world in their own ways. Denise read it over my shoulder and let out a soft, incredulous laugh. Well, would you look at that? Not a single mention of dead weight. Character development, I said, smiling. For everyone. Walking the last few blocks to my office, I thought of the cramped studio, the endless nights, the silent choice to trust my own compass over a handed-down map. The path had been lonely and steep, but it was mine. And sometimes, if you keep building with patience and grit, the world eventually arrives at your door, finally ready to see what you saw all along.